Welcome to another edition of the Committed 100 Ministry Group, where we are 100% committed to teaching the Bible to those who are 100% committed to learn. And today we're going to continue, in our verse by verse study of the book of Proverbs. I tell you, if there's been one study that I've enjoyed uh, in the Old Testament, it would have to be the book of Proverbs, because the things that are taught there are relevant in any age. And it all has to do primarily with the wisdom of God in the life of the worshiper of God. Just a tremendous blessing. And before we move on, I just want to uh, say again, congratulations, and offer my congratulations to, now I can say it officially, Pastor Cody Willis. Brother Cody, Pastor Cody, is now the pastor of Crossroads Baptist Church. And I watched his testimony on Facebook live yesterday evening, and I was hollering. He couldn't hear me, obviously, but I was hollering. I was just amening and like, go ahead, Pastor Cody. Give it all you got, 100% of God and 100% of the Spirit, and watch God work in your life and ministry. It was a blessing to see this young man. His testimony and mine are quite similar in terms of our pre-conversion behavior, and the things he was saying. I was just hollering. Yeah, amen. Just do it. Say it. I want to just reach out and grab him, but I couldn't because don't have that kind of technology yet. But it was a blessing to have uh, Pastor Cody Willis, pastor, Crossroads Baptist Church. God bless you, my friend. Book of Proverbs. Let's take a look at verse 4. And again, this verse really goes back into what we were studying last week about the slanderer. This is all a part of that, the slanderer. If you look at the behavior of the slanderer, you can see these character traits. And if you want to go back to last week's broadcast after this one, of course you can, and get an understanding of even further behavior indicators of the slanderer, the gossip monger, etc. But again, part of that whole lifestyle with the slanderer is a wicked doer giveth heed to false lips, and a liar giveth ear to a naughty tongue. Say, hold on. Say, Pastor says, Pastor Cody, I got to say it with authority. Brother, don't make me tear up. I said, God bless you, brother. You are a big mentor in my life and ministry. Thank you for sharing your wealth of knowledge and being a true friend. Brother, from the heart, dude, from the heart. Whatever you need, and you know this, you know exactly what to do. And there are a few other brothers just like you that I just pour my life into. And I believe you're one of those young men, and I'm here to help you. Whatever you need, it's at your disposal. And I don't make that promise to everybody. But if I do make it, I keep my word. Believe me, I got 50 years of things that can be freely given. I did say the word freely. So just keep all that in mind. I love your testimony, brother. I love that. I mean, that testimony of mine is just so parallel. It's amazing. But thank God for you. And thank God that you allowed me to be, to some degree, a mentor in your life and ministry. I want to see young men move forward in the things of God. And I know that you're going to be one of those brothers. It is a wicked person who is also described as a liar, who gives serious attention and whose heart is ready to receive lies. This is the slanderer, the person who is a gossip monger, the person who is a slanderer, the person who goes around and telling tales and lies and what have you. This is the same person. They give heed to lies. They're not only liars themselves, but they give heed that they're listening for the next lie that they can spread with others. You know, trust is a very valuable commodity, very valuable. And if I give you my trust and you violate it, more than likely it ain't coming back. I don't need any more knives, okay, in my back. The words naughty tongue, it says, a wicked doer giveth heed to false lips, and a liar giveth ear to a naughty tongue. Naughty tongue speaks of the downfall of someone or some great calamity or accident. And so this person takes joy in someone else's downfall. This wicked lying person is glad at receiving the news of a downfall of another person. And we will see in the next verse that this rejoicing over the downfall of another person is very dangerous. Again, I admonish us to be very careful about being talebearers. The fact is, God's going to bring everything to light on its own merit. We just need to make sure that the person we're looking at every morning in that mirror is the person that gets taken care of first, second, and forever, to make sure that our accounts with God and with others are right. That's the person we need to be very mindful of every day. Whoso mocketh the poor reproacheth his maker, and he that is glad at calamity shall not be unpunished. I tell you, friends, listen, I keep saying this. I'm going to keep saying it till someone gets it. I'll quote again from R.C. Sproul. He said, what's wrong with you people? I'm not kidding. He said, the problem is we don't know who God is. We don't know who we are. That's it. Very simple. We don't know. We don't recognize who God is, and we don't know who we are. And God's word makes it very clear. You don't mock the poor. You don't neglect the poor. And this is a theme all through Proverbs. The poor may refer to someone whose circumstances have turned in such a way as to cause his or her poverty. I remember years ago when on Facebook that, when people I knew were impoverished by circumstances that were not, caused by them, we were moved to collect money to help that person. And as much as it's amazing that this happens, to the believer, it should be normal. It should be normal. Now, I have allegedly about 2,000 followers on my Facebook page, and it's ever decreasing because of this truth. But I made it clear, if 2,000 people gave $1 to a need, I mean, a lot of people wouldn't have to worry about a thing. I mean, if we really wanted to do things that would make a difference, if we picked 5 people and we all gave, if 2,000 people gave, $2, we picked 5 people, that's $10 for what? $20 from each of us to 2,000 followers, $20, and gave it to 10 people. That's quite a bit of money that can help people. I would say that with the ability that we have now, and looking at how the early church gave everything, and how we literally give next to nothing to legitimate causes, I have to wonder Is God displaying his great disappointment to many of us in our lives because we just despise and neglect the poor? You see, we got to be careful. Listen, I keep saying this. I don't know what else to say. We need to be very careful, and very sensitive to respond immediately and properly to what God is saying. Because if we don't, we're going to lose. And I believe that when we interpret this verse in the light of verse 4, it makes better sense. Okay, verses 5 and 4. The word for poor speaks of one in need. Calamity instantly produces that state of need. But this wicked, lying person loves not only to hear the news of a person's downfall, but to mock them as well when they are down. The word mock means to laugh at, to ridicule, and to sneer at. And this wicked, lying person does not realize that he or she is mocking God when they mock the person who came into sudden calamity. Once again, and I'll say it again, we don't know who God is and we don't know who we are. And that is a tremendous danger. We need to be very, very careful about rejoicing when someone else falls into calamities. And I'll say it again, not of their own doing. A lot of people have lost their jobs. A lot of people have lost their jobs. I can't begin to tell you. This whole COVID thing years ago eliminated, I mean, millions of jobs were gone. And the whole issue of creating mobile stations where people can do their jobs at home is a mixed blessing. It's a two-edged sword because they get so accustomed to working at home that when the same job demands they come back into the office, people start kicking and fussing and having a hissy fit. And so the manager goes, you know what? Um, it's time for you to get the boot. Okay, because look, we can still tell you to come in. You don't have a right to tell us anything. We made this ability to work at home. We made it available to you because of the circumstance. Now the circumstance is over. We need you in the office. And people just start, well, next thing you know, they get fired. That's not the person we're talking about here. That's a person that Peter says got what they deserve. But you're working faithfully and hard, and you're really planning and doing stuff, and then you get the boot, and you come into sudden calamity. Now, the wicked person who never cared for us in the first place, or who just is grouped to wicked people that like to spread news, they don't have to even know you, and they just go ahead and spread junk about you. That's the person that God is talking about. But the person who comes into sudden calamity, not the result of their own doing, yeah, that's the person that we need to be helping. But this wicked person is laughing, and they don't care that they're mocking God when they mock the person that comes into sudden calamity. A person who rejoices at the calamity of others will experience the same thing, and their calamity will be orchestrated by God himself, and there'll be nothing that anybody could do. You don't believe me? I don't care. Look at what the Bible says. Proverbs 24. Isn't it wonderful that we can always go say, hey, I don't care. This is what God says. Because they always want to make it personal. Well, that's what you say. Oh, no. What said the scriptures? That's what's important. So let's see what the scripture says, shall we? Proverbs 24, verse 17, rejoice not when thy enemy falleth, and let not thine heart be glad when he stumbleth, lest the Lord see it, and it displease him, and he turn away his wrath from him. Say, you get the happy when you see a person fall and God dealing with that person. You start to laugh and getting all giddy, happy, and stupid. And God sees it, and then he removes the chastening upon the person he's dealing with. You get all mad and pouty. Mm-hmm. Yeah. You let God do what he does and just be quiet and make sure you need to do what you do. All right. Verse 6, Proverbs 17. Children's children are a crown of old men, and the glory of children are their fathers. Very interesting passage. Now, we've already seen in chapter 16, verse 31, that the gray head is a crown of glory if it be found in righteousness. Okay, now just to bring a brief recap of that passage, it doesn't mean because a person's old and has gray hair that they have wisdom. Well, they do, but it could be earthly wisdom. And I spent a great deal of time explaining these things when we were back in Proverbs 16, which I'm not going to do today. You can always go back. But yeah, just having gray hair is not enough. Not enough at all for anything except that you got gray hair. Because it only matters if you are righteous and gray-headed. And that's where, again, I look at this situation with Pastor Cody and others. This young man is his first pastorate. I looked at the picture of the people, a very interesting group of people. The public picture, and I thought, this is good. This is really good. And you're in a position where you, as an old gray hair warhorse that has been in ministry a long time, could really be a blessing to help him, like you are, Pastor Greg, and a few others, Pastor Terrence and some others, that and even Brother Earl, that I have the privilege. And there are others on Facebook that, one guy says, look, I can't begin to tell you how much of a blessing that your life and ministry has been. And there are others who can appreciate, listen very carefully, not me so much as what God is doing, because it really is him, and give God the glory for it. So having all this gray hair, it only matters if I have any wisdom attached to it, or else I'm just another old coot out there messing up people's lives. Now, in this verse, grandchildren are described as a crown or the dignity of older men. Also, we see that children should praise and honor their father, which I don't know how many times it's stated, but it is stated quite a bit in both testaments. And few things are more despicable than a child who is thankless towards their father who raised them. And boy, don't we see that today. It's just, and I'm not going to emphasize that today because it's definitely coming up in the book of Proverbs. It's just incredible to watch how fewer and fewer people and the culture and society is turning everything basically away from a paternal mode where men and fathers rule and their role is appreciated. It's a role for us that we have the great responsibility of raising our children. And it's a wonderful role. It's a great role. And it's a role that's not only underrated, but is underappreciated. And everything is focused on a matriarchal system. That's not what the Bible teaches. That's not what the Bible teaches at all. Even if you read the book of Proverbs, the predominant roles that are given in the house, apart from Proverbs 31, and even in that, she's being praised by her husband, and she's doing everything she can to make sure that he's okay. She sees her role to make sure that she understands that her husband is her priority. That's what Proverbs 31 is teaching. And of course, no one apparently sees that part, but it's there. Of course, we're going to talk about it. But the role of the fathers has just been set aside. And culturally, and I've complained about this forever, you got all the commercials where you have fathers just a bunch of morons. We can't even open a can of soup without little Willie, 3-year-old Willie, coming around and bloop, he pops open the soup and you're standing there looking all stupid. Now, the only exception, of course, and I have to say this in all fairness, and my time's running out, I've seen 4-year-olds, 4-year-olds, that grab an iPad. One of them years ago grabbed my iPad and just started going on it. And I was going to take it. Let me see how far this goes. The kid was able to, scroll to the home page, go to Google and type in his app, and he was playing games on my iPad. And I'm just like, you know what? I need to hire this kid. So there may be an exception or two to the rule, but that's quite rare. But some of these kids are pretty smart. They're tech smart. I get it. But I know more than he does about life, and he still can't drive because he can barely talk. But he sure is smart in that doggone iPad. I give him credit where credit's due. But yeah, we live in a society where the father is no longer appreciated. He's more tolerated than appreciated because of our rebellion against God. And it's really just rebellion against God and the order of God's creation. But I think, let's see. I think we might be out of time here. Yeah. I think we're out of time. Yeah, I better not go any further than this. Excellent speech, but not a fool, much less through lying lips of prince. Again, we're still going to be dealing with this whole issue of the liar. He's all over the place. He's all over the Bible. And we don't need to have anything to do with them at all. And we talk about, the passage I just read talks about liars. In fact, let me just go back to that right quick here. These are contrasts which reveal the true nature of one's heart. The fool boasts of himself in the abundance of words, but the truth of what he is reveals that his boasts are neither fitting nor true of him. This word for fool is only used 3 times in Proverbs, and it speaks of a person who lacks spiritual perception and sensitivity. This kind of person should not boast at all because he or she does not know what he or she is talking about. Lying lips is totally inappropriate for a prince whose office is to be one of integrity, nobility, and dignity. Yeah, every single member of every single branch of government needs to read and obey that passage. Well, that's it for today. God willing, tomorrow we're getting back into Psalm 119. There are going to be a few days I'm going to be off in July. I'm going to probably post a schedule and let you know. Next Tuesday, I think I'll have to take care of some medical stuff. I won't be here next Tuesday, God willing. And then in August, I'll be taking some time off. My usual vacation series are coming up here, but I'll keep you posted. All right, my friends, thank you very much for taking the time with me. And again, you can write me at harleyhowardradio@gmail.com. That's harleyhowardradio@gmail.com. You don't need a stamp, an envelope, or anything. Just go to your computer, type Harley Howard Radio, no caps, one word, harleyhowardradio@gmail.com, and I'll know.